Okie dokie, welcome. We're back.
We are back, yeah. Long absence.
The
About a
Round
year.
Sound Sports Show. Okay, all smoke going on.
Vaping here.
Yes, but we had a bit of a hiatus over the last. God, how long has it been?
It's been a year since the last one.
Has it been a year since we've done any recording?
Yeah, last week it was a year to the day since we did the third.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had a little bit of a hiatus because of certain situations, and obviously this. We can't say the word, otherwise we'll just get banned off YouTube. The world problem that's been going on over the last 4 or 5 months. But we're back with a new sports show called The Round Sound Sports. My name's Alex.
And I'm Ollie.
And Ollie, my brother, he turned 30 this week. So happy birthday, Ollie.
Oh, thanks for reminding me about that.
How does it feel to be a 30-year-old dude?
It's definitely not great when you wake up with a hangover.
Yeah, those hangovers get worse as you get older, trust me.
It seems to have made a vast difference, that's for sure.
I'll tell you what happens is you learn not to drink too much as you get older.
I don't know about that, to be honest with you.
You learn your limits, mate, I'll tell you. Yeah. So we're talking about the Premier League season is starting tomorrow with Arsenal, Man City kicking it off again after this really weird situation, wasn't it, over the last few months with no football. It's, over the summer when there's no football, it's extremely strange. We hate it. We don't like having no sports on telly. It's boring. There's nothing to watch on television. And it's been the same sort of situation, hasn't it?
We should have had the Euro 2020 should have kicked off, and we would have had our first game on Sunday.
Oh, of course, because that was supposed to be this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we would normally be in the European Championships by now, but alas, we're on Project Restart and very excited to get some football back.
So what's what's the plan? Yeah, the Bundesliga. I've been watching a bit of that,
Yeah.
Bayern Munich are on the verge of winning the title, aren't they?
I don't think it's the same when you're not invested in your own league, though. It has been a bit difficult to watch when you haven't got an interest in any of the teams. So
yeah, I'm not really bothered about it. In all honesty, I want to see Arsenal playing again, and Liverpool likewise. But it's weird. How are you finding the games when you watch them online though? Because they're playing like fake crowd noise and stuff like that. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a strange one. A couple of the games had the crowd noise and stuff on it in the Bundesliga, but some of them, they were just, it was a bit of a stark contrast to watching it live when you can hear the managers talking and all the players, themselves through the game. So it has been, as I say, a bit difficult to watch, but with the Premier League, I think they've got plans in place to have a bit more of an atmosphere put into the stadiums when the games are on. So it's... for me, it's just exciting as well because it could be potentially the first time I'd see my team lift the Premier League, and the games back in general is exciting,
Yeah, I heard they're going to use actual EA Sports sound from like FIFA.
Yeah, it's from FIFA. They've done polls on Twitter asking fans from each club and giving them 5 options of what chants they'd like to hear, and getting fans to vote on which ones they want played through the tannoys.
Oh, that's class, isn't it? That's good. It's clever the way they can do that. Technology is mad, isn't it, these days?
Yeah.
And so you want to talk about Arsenal, Man City tomorrow, kicking it off at 8:15 p.m. Arsenal are my team.
We've actually got Villa Sheffield at the early kickoff.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
So Villa versus
6 o'clock
is at 6 p.m. So they're getting the Project Restart back underway, and then that's going to be the first game we see before Arsenal Man City later on in the evening. But with Villa and Sheffield United, it's going to be a very, very important game for Aston Villa, isn't it? I think it's a must for them. If they do get 3 points tomorrow, they could leap themselves up to 16th with that game in hand.
Right.
So it's an important game for them.
I feel like, Villa have to start strong. As soon as the season starts, they've got to start winning. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble when it comes to sort of the end of this season. So I'm still a bit unsure about what's going on with the Premier League. Are they just playing the rest of the season out now? They're not missing any games or anything. It's just going to start from tomorrow and just run through. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. The reason we've got the 2 games on Wednesday is because those 4 teams have got a game in hand on everybody else.
Got you.
So Villa, Sheffield United, and Arsenal City will be catching up to the 29 games that everyone else has played, you see.
Yeah.
And then it's normal service resumes. So every weekend and Monday Night Football, I think, as well, will be coming back. And we've got the 9 games to complete for everyone else. And then, yeah.
So a lot of transfer talk about Grealish in the papers, maybe moving on. They've put like a 75 million price tag on his head, you said, just. And I think he's definitely worth that. He's one of those players that can change a game. Definitely worth that money.
It's going to be quite difficult for him, though, to continue that sort of being touted with the big transfers if the misdemeanor that he suffered with breaking the lockdown rules, it's going to damage his image, isn't it? And I think as well, especially with Gareth Southgate being the way he is, it could damage his England team if he doesn't clean up his act off the pitch. But certainly on the pitch, he's been the one sort of shining light for Aston Villa. I do enjoy watching him play.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those players that should be in the England team and isn't at the moment, and definitely not fulfilled his potential as a player yet. Part of that maybe because he's still stuck with Villa for the time being, or
I think he's shouldering a lot of that responsibility, not just being the captain and a local lad, but being obviously quite clearly the standout player in a team that's really suffering. If he can get himself into the likes of a Man United, even in Everton, something like that, he could get himself alongside some players that can shoulder some of that responsibility on the pitch for him, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously we're seeing a lot of comparisons with him and Maddison, but I see Grealish as a very different player to Maddison. He works well off the left, he works well off the right, and he can play centrally as well. He's got anything along that front 3 and the number 10 position, he can sort of occupy and take the game to teams, but he needs the players around him.
I think he's a far better player than who did you just mention? Maddison. Yeah, he's a far better player than Maddison, I think. The way I watched him against Arsenal when they played him earlier in the season, the way he just glides past players. He glides past players. He's such a good player. I really do. I think I just hope that if it does move on to a bigger team, no disrespect to Aston Villa, but I hope that he does fulfill his potential. He can be one of those England players that potentially makes a difference in the tournaments coming up in the future, because I really do. I rate him. And I've actually met him. He's a really nice bloke. Really, really nice, down-to-earth kid. Took a lot of time. We met him through Worcester. They were playing a friendly with him, and he took a lot of time after the game to spend with the kids and take photos, and it was, really nice kid. I think he can
being a local lad, he would have been that kid at some point, wouldn't he? Wanting to meet
absolutely, yeah.
He's obviously got that in him, but with them languishing in 17th, 18th place, I think it is. I can't see them staying up unless they can string together 4 or 5 good results. I mean, they've got John McGinn's out with that broken ankle as well. That's going to be a big factor because he's been good for them this season, and so you've got Tyrone Mings as well. For me, he's been a bit of a shining light for them, and he's got himself in the England squad.
He's still quite young, isn't he?
Are they going to keep hold of those 3 in particular? I think McGinn, Mings, and Grealish could well be on their way if Villa were to go down.
Yeah, definitely.
And they'll need to obviously get some funds, won't they? Because I don't think Villa qualify for that all-important parachute payment if they are to go straight back down again.
Right. Okay.
Financially, it could be a tough time for them, but.
So we're talking about Villa, but I mean they're facing up against Sheffield United, who are flying this season. They're doing really well. They've got a good goal scorer in Musit, who's firing in the goals, and they've got 10 clean sheets, second highest in the Premier League as well. That's unbelievable for such a team that's just come up this year, isn't it?
Yeah, Dean Henderson's been fantastic, obviously on loan from Manchester United this season, and I do genuinely think he's got the complete package for the England squad as well. If Pickford continues to make mistakes this season, Henderson's good with his feet, which is obviously going to be a requirement for going forward for this young England team. And
he's a big kid as well, isn't he?
Second highest in the Premier League for clean sheets with 10, and they've got players like Lundstrom, and they've got a good core there at Sheffield United, and it's been great to watch that underdog story sort of progress throughout the season.
They're one of those teams that the likes of Arsenal always struggle against. they're just one of them teams that you just don't want to play. They
They're
really
very
are.
organised and quick on the break, and I think it'll be a tough night for Villa. I really do.
Mm.
I've got Sheffield United down to win 3-1 because they're fighting for that Europa League spot, and they could finish in 5th place.
Yeah.
And yeah, Europe next season. At the start of this
Crazy.
season, you said that with Sheffield United, but Chris Wilder, all credit to him, he's done a fantastic job with the players that he's got, and I think their whole squad's worth something around 40 million quid. So when you look at that, it's incredible, really. So
nice little segue to the Arsenal game. That if Sheffield United win and Arsenal lose, they'll be level on points, and we've got Arsenal v Man City at 8:15. This is a big one for my team.
Yeah, for this weekend, it's a big pick, isn't it? Obviously, Arsenal going into this game, they're undefeated in 8 matches in the Premier League, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they've still got a chance for that top 6. I think Champions League is out of their reach, I think, this week.
Yeah, but I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure, mate. The Champions League. I'm a big fan of Arteta, though. I think he's been a breath of fresh air since he's come into the dressing room. He's made a big difference to the way the team has bonded. I think he's got the players on his side straight away. They seem to believe in what his vision is and his target is for the club. He's obviously to get him back to the top, and we haven't been there, nowhere near really for the last 4 or 5 seasons, especially. But if we can hang on to Aubameyang, I'm not convinced still about Lacazette. I think we've got better players coming through in Eddie Nketiah, Nicolas Pepe. We can get firing. We've got a decent midfield players like we can hold players like Tierney and keep him in this fit, and we can get Bellerin firing again. And I think we can get there. I really do.
Kieran Tierney's going to be an interesting one once he's actually fit, because he's had a tough run of it since he's joined Arsenal, hasn't he? But I do rate him as a player, and I think those left and right back positions are something that Arsenal really need to get that solid base, because Bellerin's been in and out with injury, hasn't he? But the scoring goals has been a problem. Obviously, Aubameyang's your top goal scorer. I think it's with 7 goals, but below that, the nearest guy to him is Lacazette with 7. So it shows the real gulf in being able to score the goals when you haven't got Aubameyang on the pitch, and it's a problem. I do think you're one midfielder shy of where you need to be, personally. I think you're missing that creative sort of number 10 that's going to drop into the pockets. You've got a lot of those holding midfielders in Guendouzi and the likes of him. I don't see much creativity there in that midfield. So
I think we've obviously got Ozil, but Ozil's coming to the end of his career. He's still a world-class player on his day, absolutely world-class midfielder and creator, but I think he's past his best. And you're right, we need someone else, a young Fabregas, to come through and start creating some more chances. Nicolas Pepe, you've mentioned in the notes that he's got 6 assists, and he's doing well. I really do think he's. I've heard in the news that Arteta's been working on his attacking play, because he come into the team with Unai Emery trying to turn him into a defensive attacker like he was doing. He's working on his work rate, but players like that, you've just got to set them free, get them attacking players and shooting and scoring goals and assisting, and that's what he's and he's going to be if you can get him doing that, he'll be one of the best players in the world, no doubt.
He's very exciting to watch, and on his day, you just can't beat him for pace. But for me, it's just that decision-making process that he needs to sort of brush up on and get that final ball. And once he can get that final ball into the box, it reminds me of Raheem Sterling. Once Sterling sorted that out in his game, Nicolas Pepe can do the same and go on to be a really good player. But it's that Manchester City side has got serious depth, hasn't it? And obviously with the 5 substitutes coming in this season, for the remaining 9 games, that's going to play into Manchester City's hands with that sort of wealth of talent they've got sat on that bench. Yeah.
What about Man City, dude?
So,
what do you reckon to Man City?
They've had a lot of defensive issues this season, haven't they?
They've had Laporte missing, haven't they, for a long time? Without
Laporte on that pitch, they've been up and down all season, but it has just been down to that relentless pace that Liverpool have set, and I don't think City have really had that consistency this season. So I've personally, for this game, I've gone for a 2-1 win, but that's obviously me with my Liverpool hat on.
Yeah.
If Man City can get Man City do lose, Liverpool can go and win that league, and what a story that would be to win it at Goodison Park,
Yeah,
So
I think obviously it just shows how strong the Premier League is now. Liverpool have just been, like you said, relentless. There's just
they have,
you've got to win every game, or you've got to lose maybe once, twice, 3 times maximum in a season now these days to actually win the Premier League, and they've done that. They've just been absolutely. They've been one of them teams that, like a Man United back in the sort of early 2000s, where they just find a way to score. Always finish the game off and do it. And yeah, fair play to them. I'd be very happy to see Liverpool win the title, as long as Man United, Chelsea, Tottenham, or Man City aren't winning it. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd like to see Arsenal go there and get some points against City as well, because
100%. Yeah.
you need to get on that run. I think Arteta will have used this enforced break to get his ideas across, won't he? So
yeah, I've got complete faith in Arteta. I just think he's just totally that he should have had the job in the first place. He's just totally the right man. He's spent a few years under Guardiola, and he's just learned how to be a proper manager and a proper man manager as well. So I think there's good times to come for Arsenal. But moving on to the other to Friday, we've got a 6:00 kickoff for Southampton and Norwich, two teams that are struggling.
Yeah, I mean, Southampton, they've got to be safe, haven't they? They're 7 points clear of that drop zone in 14th, and Danny Ings has been their saviour, really, hasn't he? 15 goals this season, and he's been on an absolute rampage. And I would have definitely had him going into that England squad if the Euros had gone ahead. So
definitely. But
Norwich,
Danny Ings, a player that obviously came for Liverpool as well, didn't really make an impact. He was sort of the backup striker, if you like, but he's come to Southampton again and just hit the floor running, obviously biting at the bit to get on the pitch and score goals again. And he's turned it on, and he's like totally on fire.
Yeah, it's nice for me to see from my standpoint as a Liverpool fan to see him go there and get over those 2 injuries that he had. Yeah. 2 very bad ACL surgeries, and he's got over those injuries now, and he's just so dangerous. You get the ball up to him and he'll just run his socks off,
Yeah.
He's a deadly finisher in front of goal as well, but that brings you to Norwich as well. They had that in Timu Pukki at the start of the season. He couldn't stop
Pukki, like everybody was having him in their dream team. As soon as the season started, he was banging in goals left, right and centre, and he just didn't kick on though from there. That he's struggled the last few 10 games or whatever. He hasn't really scored. They've only scored 25 goals all season, and how many of those goals has Pukki scored?
Yeah,
a fair few of them. So,
he could hit a barn door now. At the moment, he's going through that real sort of that rough phase where it just doesn't seem to be getting the rub of the green. No. So, unless he can start firing them in,
as a striker, when you hit that kind of that brick wall, that your confidence starts to drop. You start doubting yourself a little bit, don't you? I mean, we've both played football as kids. Me, not as much as you, but I mean, it is a confidence game, isn't it? If you see the likes of Ings, and he's got the confidence now that every time he shoots, he's going to score. That's Pukki. Once you start missing, and the crowd starts getting on your back, it's tough to get off that bench and score, isn't it?
If you start overthinking things, it can really get in your head, can't it? And I think that's the phase that Pukki's going through at the moment. He almost seems scared to have a go at goal, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like any sport, though, isn't it? Confidence is a massive factor when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, I think Norwich. I mean, it's a surefire for me for them to go down. But Todd Cantwell, in particular, has been the one sort of player that stood out for them this season. I can see him moving on.
Yeah.
If Norwich go down at the end of this season, I think Cantwell will get that move and potentially start his rise towards getting that England call up. He's a player that I do enjoy watching. He's comfortable on the ball. He works hard, and he's tenacious in that midfield. He's got that sort of hot-headed style, but doesn't let that boil over.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the England team. I am, when we actually finally get some internationals going again. We've got some talented youngsters coming through this country, and I know we've said that before in the past, and we've all like the golden generation, the Beckham and stuff. We're going to win the World Cup, but we have got the players, and they play in the best league in the world. There's no doubt about the Premier League is the best league and the toughest league to play in. So theoretically, we should have the players that could go and win the World Cup. But
I
that's a
think
whole
so.
that's a whole different podcast, isn't it?
Making those tough decisions. So players like Campbell and your Grealishes, they're getting their opportunities younger. So I think that's going to be a good thing for the players.
Yeah.
That the likes of Campbell and Grealish and Maddison and Jadon Sancho as well,
Sancho, man, yeah.
They can get in. So personally for me, that one there, I mean, Southampton should easily go and win that 2-0. I think if they play their game, Norwich just seem to be a team
down and out
now, don't they?
Yeah. I reckon you're right on that one. Ings hopefully will come and hit the ground running again and start banging in the goals. And 2-1 for me. Definitely Southampton. What about the later kickoff on Friday? The 2015 kickoff for Tottenham and Man U. The massive. Oh, not that one. That one.
It's another big game, isn't it? I mean, Tottenham have had the better of Man United in recent seasons, but that was the sort of front foot, very attacking, pressing side that Pochettino built. But ever since Mourinho's took over, it seems to be more focused on that solidity, and they've lost that cutting edge, I think. Manchester United did beat Spurs in the reverse fixture in December. So it's got an interesting narrative to it with Mourinho coming from United as well. So
yeah, I mean, you mentioned Mourinho there. I've actually forgotten that Mourinho was the manager of Manchester United. He just seems to be totally out of the news. And for me, that's a little bit scary. When you're not hearing what teams are up to and what they're doing and how they're preparing for games, that scares me a little bit because I fear that Manchester United are one of those teams that could come back to their best with sort of the likes of Mourinho, and they've got potentially Fernandes and Pogba playing together in the same team for the first time.
Pogba's on song and Fernandes is on song. That's a midfield that it is kind of scary on paper, isn't it?
Yeah, puts a little bit of the bejeebies up me, I've got to say. It's like, Liverpool's scary. They're good. I mean, you don't want to go to Liverpool. Nobody wants to play Liverpool because they're just on fire at the moment, and they have been for the last couple of years. But I hate to say it, but I think Manchester United are going to be getting back to their best pretty soon.
Yeah,
really
could take two more seasons and a couple more arrivals, a couple of fresh faces. They still need a striker, but they've gone 5 unbeaten now since January when they lost 2-0 to Burnley. And I think United and Chelsea are going to be those two teams that fight it out for that top 4 position. Yeah. But you've still got Wolves there breathing down their neck. So United have got none of the top 4 left to play after this fixture. So I have gone for a 2-0 United win. But, Harry Kane could be coming back. And obviously with these 5 substitutes being a new rule, we could see Harry Kane get some minutes, couldn't you?
Yeah, of course. Forgot about that as well. They're introducing 5 subs for the games up until the end of the season. So obviously players have been out for a long time. You're potentially going to get injuries again, aren't you? Because they're starting to play competitive football again with hamstrings and whatnot going and groin injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, that's another massive point actually, isn't it? How's that going to sort of affect the game? Time-wise, how's it going to affect it? Because it's going to have a bigger effect on the game, isn't it, over the last few games of the season for sure.
Yeah. Another interesting thing that I was thinking about today was obviously without the pressure of the crowd and stuff, we'll see the referees go over to that monitor a bit more just because they're not wary of wasting time without the crowd getting on their back. So
yeah, it's a good point.
We could see VAR come into the fore in these games, but Kane can get those minutes with those extra 2 substitutes. You've got a bit more leeway, haven't you? And
they
need Dele Alli to get back to form, and they've obviously got new signing Steven Bergwijn, who's come in and looked pretty good. But for me, Bruno Fernandes has just made such a hell of a difference to that United team that I can't see them losing this game. I've gone for 2-0 United.
He's a real player. He does look like that dynamic driving force, that box-to-box kind of midfielder who's going to score your goals and recover the ball when he needs to. He's a good player.
The United players have been talking about his attitude as well, his application. He's got captain written all over him, So Yeah, I think there's still a couple of fresh faces away from being the finished article. They've been linked with literally everybody. Manchester United, the likes of Grealish, Maddison, Ben Chilwell, and
Aubameyang at one point as well. So
yeah, but that's going to be an interesting game. That Tottenham United, and I think United coming out on top there, just trying to get that top six solidified. I think.
So you're saying Spurs? They're 7 points off the top four, so they're realistically just looking for. Is it the top six that goes? Top five goes to Champions League, doesn't it?
Top four for Champions League.
4 Champions League, 5 for Europa League.
Yeah.
So
as well.
Yeah, but that's, you can't write Spurs off. They're still a threat, especially with Kane coming back. He's obviously our best English striker at the moment. He hasn't played a lot of football, but he's had trouble with injuries this year as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he's still a top striker, so they're a threat. But I'm with you on the result. I think Man United are going to be the team to watch going into next year, especially as well. And like I said, it's I don't like to say it, but I can see it happening. Really,
it does pain me to say it, to be honest. Side of Manchester United, but yeah, that's what I've gone for. 2-0 United on that one.
History's not on Man United's side though. With the recent results, Spurs have had a couple of good results over the last few seasons there, haven't they? So
yeah, in the sort of last 3 years, Spurs have come out on top. But again, that is, I think, mostly down to the Pochettino side of old, where they were playing that really high intensity pressing football. So
yeah,
with them having a new manager and not really having the time to get his ideas across, I do think that we could see Tottenham struggle.
Yeah. Should we have a quick look at the paper talk while we're here? Do a bit of gossip.
Yeah.
For everybody that's watching this, I don't know if you're watching this further on down the line. This is like what's the date today? 16th of June, 2020 paper talk, and we're just having a quick look at this. The Daily Express saying that Tottenham are in talks to sign free agent Thomas Munier at the end of the season.
Yeah. So they do need reinforcements. I think you could see Vertonghen and Alderweireld moving on at the end of the season.
Well, Alderweireld nearly went last season, didn't he? It was a bit of a and an R, and he was maybe courted by Was it Man U? He was courted by a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you're right with that. And Everton trying to make an audacious attempt to sign Thiago Silva.
Yeah, another free agent this summer that I saw in the paper last week. I just couldn't believe a player of his caliber is going to be available. Yeah, obviously, the end of his career, I think, Thiago Silva, but he will definitely make any defence stronger that he goes to with that experience, won't he?
Yeah, that's he's a top player. He's one of them players that every kid and every person our age sort of knows the name of Thiago Silva. Is one of the world's best defenders, but obviously, like you said, he's coming to the end of his career. His age is against him a little bit. Yeah. I like this story about Ben Chilwell potentially going to Chelsea. He's a very good player. He's a good left back. He's probably, top 3 left backs in the country at the moment, Chilwell. So no wonder he's getting courted by Chelsea. So, and Frank Lampard at Chelsea. Something we can talk about.
Spending some money. Gosh, and I think he's obviously got the backing of Abramovich if he's spending all this money.
Yep.
And they do need to shore up those 2 right and left sides of defence. I think they haven't got much cover. So, yeah, Ben Chilwell. And it's a good piece of business for Leicester as well if they can get 40 million,
Damn right. I mean, Chelsea got Alonso and he was actually playing quite well. He was scoring goals again, wasn't he, towards the end before it stopped again this season. So that's an interesting decision that they're going to try out and replace him. Maybe Alonso will be someone that'll be moving on from Chelsea. And he's a very good dynamic sort of box-to-box left winger, isn't he? I like Alonso.
He's been around the block as well, but I just don't think Frank Lampard fancies him much, to be honest with you. He hasn't only recently just come back into the team. So we've obviously got Chelsea. I think they're going to be getting Timo Werner. And that's could spell the end of Tammy Abraham's running the team, I think, with Werner coming in. So you've got Christian Pulisic, who's fairly fresh at Chelsea as well, so he might get some more minutes.
Yeah.
And they're building an excited team, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, Tammy Abrahams is another one I'm not overly keen on. It's he's like he divides opinion, doesn't he? He's sort of a Giroud kind of character where some games you watch him and you're like, he's unplayable. The next game he doesn't touch the ball and you're like, what's all the fuss about? So yeah, I think players like that always struggle to obviously he made the England team, but when he was on form, but then he has a few dodgy games. But the players like that for me always divide opinion, and you can sort of tell they're not going to really make it as a top world class player. They're not quite there. They haven't got the talent or
I think
the
with
work ethic or whatever.
In particular, he's very unflexible. I think you do have to play to his strengths. So
Yeah,
if you've got to switch tactics around and you've got to play a different way, I don't think Tammy Abraham can sort of adjust to playing different ways. He needs the ball into his feet and he needs crosses in the box to really to flourish. But Timo Werner's the style of player that can get in behind and he's got pace to burn and he's an absolutely lethal finisher. And obviously Liverpool were linked with him, weren't we? But we seem to have missed out on that one.
I'm shaking my head because it's another player that Arsenal should have signed. Another one that's slipped through the net. But this is interesting to see what I was saying about Man United have installed a 20 square metre TV at Carrington Training Ground to work on tactics ahead of the Tottenham clash.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but the fear of God is put into me by Manchester United potentially getting back to their former glory days.
We did say that though when they signed like Di Maria and they spent all that cash under Van Gaal and it didn't work.
It didn't work, but Van Gaal wasn't the right manager, obviously, for that, was he?
No. But so there's plenty of transfer talk to be covered, and I think we'll be doing that, won't we? Going forward, do some transfer shows.
Yeah, definitely. I love the transfer talk. I'd talk about the transfers all day, especially when it comes to potential Arsenal targets and Liverpool targets, respectively. It'd be good to talk about that kind of stuff. It'd be fun.
Yeah, there's touted that's going to open up as the Premier League is still going on as well, the transfer window. Okay. So
that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see how that develops towards the end of the season then. But that was sure. That was our first show then. Should we wrap it up? It was about half an hour of talking about the Premier League season starting again. The Round Sound Sports Show. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's going to be going up. It'll be, you'll be watching this tomorrow, but this is recorded yesterday and blah and all that sort of stuff. And it's pretty good on StreamYard. We've recorded it and it doesn't need much editing, to be honest with you. So I've got the banners and everything that pop up like so we can talk about. I don't need to edit it really. It's looking quite good.
Well, this is going to be a weekly thing that we're going to be doing as well, isn't it? We're going to be doing sort of preview shows, and then we've obviously got plans once these fixtures after Everton Liverpool are wrapped up on Sunday. We'll do a highlight show, won't we? And go through
because I mean, I can theoretically show the highlights on here. We can edit them in and add a little bit of a highlight. I'm not sure about the copyright laws over the highlights. Maybe playing them back. I'm not sure. I have to do a bit of research, but hopefully
blur them out when we do that. But we'll go through all the results, won't we, and talk about what that means for the teams that have either won or lost, and how the Premier League season is going to finish. It's exciting stuff to have it back.
Oh, I'm so happy the football's back, man. so happy.
Yeah,
I've been doing a YouTube video every single day because I've got nothing else to do. But now the football's back on, we're rocking. I can't wait for it. Really can't.
It's going to make this lockdown slightly more bearable now that we've got the football back. So,
looking forward to it. So that's it. We'll wrap this show up for now. Make sure you subscribe, press the bell so you don't miss any uploads, and we'll be back in again soon over the weekend, more than likely, for another stream or edited video. We haven't quite decided which way we'll do it, but we'll be back. So I'll see you on the next show. Cheers, Ollie.